Yo, what's good, guys? This is your boy ADazzle here again with WrestlXtra number 2. We've reached number 2 already. It feels like it's a milestone, even though it's only 2. But it's massive. Here with my boy, of course, the WrestleManiac himself, Mex. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. What's up, people? Hope you've all had a very good week and enjoyed what we've got on TV. WWE, AEW, TNA, whatever you watch. And yeah, we're going to get into the happenings of what's gone on in the past week.
Yeah, man. Let's get into it. So we're starting on a bit of a sad note. The great Kamala passed away just a few days ago, and his wife confirmed that he suffered cardiac arrest after what he said, that he contracted COVID-19. Unfortunately, and I think it was after just a normal dialysis visit to to the hospital, and a few days later he suffered his cardiac arrest. Kamala, whose real name is James Harris, was an absolute great superstar. He born in Mississippi, and he started out his wrestling career in the South of America. Did stints in his home state of Mississippi, Texas, places like that. Got very famous through Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett promotions around the US and stuff like that, and went to the WWE, then WWF, in around 1984, I think it was, and had on and off stints in between that time and up to 1992. Had great matches with the likes of Macho Man, Jake the Snake, and even challenged Hulk Hogan for a while for his WWF World Championship at the time, and was in the first ever casket match with The Undertaker back in 1992 at Survivor Series.
I didn't know that.
The first ever. Yeah, man. I mean, I didn't know that. I had to find that out as well. I was like, oh my word, he was in the first ever. So yeah, Kamala was an absolute great talent. Big guy, kind of very similar to how we probably see Keith Lee now. A big guy that could still move very well. But obviously his whole persona was this scary, the Ugandan giant, this scary savage, if you will, from Uganda, who apparently the story is that he was found by a wrestling promoter while he was on excursion in Africa. Yeah, it all sounds a bit crazy when you think about it now, but it worked back in the day. Scared a lot of people. You know what I mean? Done his job in that respect. But yeah, man, sadly, passed away. I know he had health problems for a very long time. Had life-saving surgery not too long ago, and it was quite well documented that he was, constantly always trying to raise money and stuff like that in order to, have certain surgeries and all that type of thing. So, R.I.P. to the great Kamala, James Harris.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll see him in, the Hall of Fame very, very soon. I think he definitely deserves a place, a mention in some sort of way. And obviously the WWE paid tribute to him on Raw earlier yesterday. So shout out to Kamala on that one.
Yes, R.I.P.
Let us get into the week's happenings, bro. So we've seen, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen this group come out all black, or in all black hoodies, all the rest of it.
Retribution.
Lights flickering and your mic's not working properly. Probably sounds like mine. That's probably who's messing up with my mic, to be honest. And they've come out. So, Mex, just give me your take on this whole thing. What do you think of this whole Retribution thing? And I'm gonna ask you later who you think it could be as well, because I know you touched on that in one of your vids earlier in the week as well. So
Yeah.
go.
I think it's all we're going to do as fans. They should have known this. Is compare this to Nexus, right? And this is a watered down approach completely. Now I know there's not fans to kind of carry it, but the first thing, attacking electrical generator. Like, come on, just because the lights could flicker. It's not like you even laid an attack once the lights were out or something. You see what I mean? So it kind of tallies up. None of that. We then had on SmackDown, they destroyed the entire ring area. Again, very similar to what Nexus done, but very watered down. And I don't get when they're doing it, why there's so much cheers and excitement, and this just looks like vandalism. And it's like I've literally 3 times now compared this to like teenagers when they smash something and run and look around the corner to see if anyone's coming, or it's that kind of petty kind of behavior. This doesn't come across strong for me at all. Furthermore, none of the actual figures in the group look like wrestlers. And I don't mean to be disrespectful if they are wrestlers inside there, but they don't look like, should I say, daunting figures. I mean, they've made a bit of a slip up, I would say, on SmackDown. Obviously, with some of the attacks that were being laid on other fans in the crowd and stuff like that. Hair was shown. So there was one shot of a lady with a long hair, which a lot of people have said is probably Chelsea Green. Another shot of a woman with a lot of curly hair, which some people have said is Vanessa Bourne, both from NXT that haven't been on TV in a long time. Vanessa Bourne more than Chelsea Green. I'm hearing whispers that Tommaso Ciampa is involved. I pray to God not, because he's above this. Dijakovic as well, they've mentioned. I don't want that for him. And there is no one currently out there that is the size of Dijakovic. He's a pretty tall lad. Right. I've heard other whispers that the 5 people that we're seeing on screen aren't actually anyone that is going to be in Retribution when Retribution debuts. So it's like, where are we going with this? And then on Monday Night Raw, yesterday, we had Retribution throw a cylinder block through a glass door of the Performance Center. They've turned over a car and are cheering because it's clearly exciting to turn over cars. And yeah, I mean, I've recently as well put out a post to say, let them drag Vince McMahon. Now, I know Vince McMahon is 70-something years old, but he, drag Vince McMahon out of his office into the middle of the Performance Center ring. That's saying something. Or go to Stamford, Connecticut and rip that place apart. They already done it once in Money in the Bank, so go and do it again. Like, these are things that count if you're going towards this Retribution angle. And now, I just don't know where these guys are going.
Bro, for me, I've seen it, and just as you said, it just doesn't feel, it has any purpose. It doesn't feel daunting. It doesn't feel like there's someone to be afraid of. Apart from one of them holding a chainsaw, like, I feel as if I could take them out. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have to feel like... I mean, I'm not a small guy. I mean, okay, compared to wrestlers, I'm a small guy, but come on. And a lot of the stuff has been very lackluster. So even in the things that they're doing, not even because of what they're doing, but how they've done it as well. So even the generator thing, they threw like about 2 of them and they blew up, and then one of them was thrown and nothing happened. You know what I mean? Then you had the thing on SmackDown when they came out and they destroyed whatever else and they beat up the person. As you said, hair was shown, so it's kind of giving you an idea of who it could be under there. But then even when the guy came with the chainsaw, I saw it the other day as well. Like when they showed the clip on Raw, and he came with the chainsaw, and it's almost like he was scared to do it.
Yeah. And it was like he was doing it perfectly. Like, when he finally got into it, it's like he wanted to cut something perfectly rather than just, chaotic madness.
Just slash yeah, exactly. All of that. And then the cinder block thing. I mean, okay, so there was all this cheer, and I think it's just the way WWE do a lot of things, to be honest. You're having a cameraman running up to whoever this, random official person was, telling them, stop,
don't do it.
Stop, because that's going to stop 5 people all hooded up to, destroying the place. Then they took the cinder block and they threw it. Okay, broke most of the glass. Why did they throw a second one?
Why didn't they enter the building that they broke?
Right.
Like, why did they break it open? I'm sure the door was probably open.
Right. This the whole thing, it just seems, they're trying a little too hard. And to try and be fair about the whole situation, there's no crowd. That can change a lot in terms of the atmosphere and, the energy you're feeding off and all that kind of stuff. It does make sense. But at the same time, I think it's just the way they look. As you said, they don't look like they're anyone, and I pray to God, Tommaso Ciampa's not one of those people.
Trust me.
I'm here. I've heard, the other thing I've heard is it's possibly stars from Evolve.
Yeah,
that are involved as well. That would make a little bit more sense of it. to a point, but it all then depends on who that could be. Now I know Leon Ruff, who's appeared on
On Raw and SmackDown,
almost
and
everything,
NXT.
Raw,
Yeah,
SmackDown, NXT, and 205, over the COVID era. He was signed last week. I know there's another guy, I forget his name, Anthony something. I think it's Anthony Green. I can't even remember now. But he was another one that's been signed from Evolve, and there are a few others it could be, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they're going with it.
So I have heard the Evolve route, but I would still imagine that they would need a relatively big name leader,
Right.
If
Right,
that
right,
even
right.
if that was the case,
Right.
which would make sense. But then at the same time, I don't understand why they would be called Retribution. Maybe because WWE bought Evolve. I don't know. I just really think I've heard in the dirt sheets that the whole essence behind the group is to kind of stick it to WWE because of the poor ratings. Things need to change, this, that, and the other. So let's just get to the point and start saying that, maybe have like one of these guys, I think like the Hacker did, when he speaks, his voice is, muffled by those machines.
Right.
We're doing this because the product currently sucks. The ratings say so. And it's bringing that reality aspect into it. And we're going to keep causing damage or whatever until things change.
Right.
I was also saying maybe they should have had an angle this week where when they go to destroy something, a wrestler gets involved or wrestlers get involved. Maybe they capture one of them, demask them and just interrogate them or something. Like there was just no progression in terms of their storyline.
My mind is thinking. I watch a lot of the like crime dramas and stuff like that. So like SWAT and things like that. And almost every single one of them have had this whole thing where you've got the new age, leaders or whoever else trying to fight the powers that be, and they're all masked up. They're young people, more masked up and blah blah blah. And as you said, the whole muffled voice thing, the whole we're taking over because the system isn't working anymore and it doesn't work for us and blah blah blah. And maybe they should kidnap a wrestler, hold them hostage for a week or two.
Something.
You know what I mean? Tell them you're not getting him back unless or this is gonna happen because just give it more. It just needs a lot more substance.
Advance the story at least week by week. At least. Like all they did was damage stuff, which they did on Monday last week. At least on SmackDown, they took a step forward into the ring. But now it's like nothing happened at all. So
so that's that. I mean, the other thing that's going on, that's been talked about a lot is Raw Underground. This is also another new thing. Started last week. We've seen a few faces. Of course, the Hurt Business came through and took over the place. What happened this week, and how do you feel about the whole Raw Underground?
So I was very positive about it last week. I think the one misstep they made was not putting Hurt Business in charge from the beginning because it does fit what they kind of are trying to do. But by the end of last week's show, they had stated their claim for it. Right. Brilliant. Hurt Business are taking over Raw Underground. Great. I couldn't wait to see this week. Where was Hurt Business on Raw Underground this week? Nowhere to be seen. Raw Underground this week was a lot of the NXT wrestlers being showed. So we saw Dabo Kato have his match. We saw Arturo, who is that like Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. Yeah, I was quite happy to see him. Riddick Moss as well. So they are spotlighting younger talents that maybe have a different skill set, which I do not mind at all. But we also had Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler took on like 3 women. Which was really good. I really think they should have made Shayna Baszler took on a guy. That would have been brilliant. Would have been, and obviously because it's not wrestling per se, they could probably get away with it in that sphere, like something different. Course. But again, like what I've said, that was it. There was nothing to kind of advance what Raw Underground is, who is involved. It was really lackluster, and Shane McMahon was there. Anytime someone would do something that in wrestling would be deemed illegal, like an eye poke, or Dabo Kato had a scene where he grabbed his opponent literally by his area and squeezed the hell out of him before he knocked him out. Shane McMahon's just there, on his little commentary thing. Oh, yeah, well, that's allowed sort of thing. Okay, yeah, we know it's allowed. We know there's no rules. You don't need to keep telling us sort of thing. But yeah, especially with Hurt Business, I really wanted them to push this story out a bit more and tell us what more we can expect from Raw Underground and stuff like that. And it just never happened.
I think for me, I'm just trying to understand where it's come from, why it's here, what the purpose is, what's the point.
And where's
it going? You know what I mean? It definitely should be after we've seen it last week. Maybe again this week you can get away with it, but it definitely needs to be something that's its own thing.
Yeah. 100%.
So maybe it comes on after Raw on YouTube or on the network or whatever it is, and have its own thing. It can then, as we said this last week, it can be its own thing. You can no rules, literally no rules. I'm really not a fan of the Shane McMahon jumping around, shouting for no reason. I don't get it. But that's Shane doing Shane stuff.
Yeah, literally.
And as you said, it's great to see certain faces, but again, it's still kind of, we're seeing these faces for almost no reason.
Yeah.
So last week we had, Hurt Business came along and did their thing, and Bobby Lashley did this, and then MVP did this, and then Shelton Benjamin comes in and kind of challenging who's coming, da-da-da-da. And then Dio Madden comes in the ring. No one mentions Dio Madden. No one mentions he used to be, the commentator. No one's. It's like he was just a random guy who's never been seen before.
Jobber.
Right. But we've seen him before, and you've made no mention of him at all. You know what I mean? In any way. So, again, it's still, yes, it's great to see these faces that we either haven't seen in ages or haven't seen before on TV. But, again, it's this whole WWE being the PG show that it is now, still trying to be edgy, but not getting there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it with that, it becomes cheesy then, and a little annoying. So it's kind of crazy.
Honestly, I don't even really like the fact that they're trying to blend it in Raw, because it doesn't flow well just as watching a show sort of thing. Like, I really think, like you said, this should probably be an online show or a network show, and even as an online show on YouTube, this will probably achieve NXT numbers. And if you're happy with NXT numbers, around the 600,000 people watching it, then why wouldn't you just give it one full hour on YouTube, and at least fans could get invested in some of these characters that we're seeing. You're showing us Dabba Kato. One day we're going to want Ra, like, this guy's beating up a few people. When is he going to challenge for titles or something on the main show? But right now, there's no natural transition. We can't see that. And again, with other NXT faces and the young people you're bringing through, we just have no reason to get invested, because we don't know where it's going.
It reminds me, and I'm sort of seen this online as well. It kind of like a watered down version of, I think it's Josh Bartnett's Bloodsport. It's nowhere near. It's nowhere near. We know that. Come on, we know that. But there's no real reason why it can't be. You know what I mean? Or try to get to that type of, that kind of bloodiness, that type of, you know what I mean, just all out action, straight up madness. Dabba Kato's there and he's doing his thing, and as you said, he could take out a few people and then come onto the main roster and be like, yo, I've taken out all these people, what are you saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on, let's go.
Literally. And by then we would know who he is as well.
Yeah, of course. And we'll be invested in the character, in his strength and his abilities, all that type of thing. And as much as this is probably an obvious link, but it kind of reminds me of Lucha Underground as well.
Definitely.
But it needs to take on, I need a Dario Cueto in there. You know what I mean? I need a Dario Cueto to come in.
100%.
I'm taking... You're gonna have to do this. If you don't do this, you won't get and if you beat up 5 men, then you'll get this chance. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. It needs, again, substance. I think that's the word of the day. I'm gonna have to choose a word of the day every week. Last week was hopefully. This week is substance. You know what I mean?
Do you think Raw Underground should have a belt? This is a conversation I keep seeing around online. If Raw Underground is actually taken,
I've not seen that, but
if it's taken
it would
seriously,
make sense. to have some kind of belt or prize money or something like that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like with the whole Lucha Underground thing. You know what I mean? When they had the oh god, what was the thing when they had?
I've forgotten what it's called, but I know you're talking about.
What was the big belt? And they had like 7 different medals that people won, and then they would all have a big massive fight. Something similar to that, maybe. You know what I mean? Where certain people get some kind of medal or some kind of recognition, and then they fight it out for whatever.
I definitely think maybe not so much a belt, but I think it should definitely have a ranking system, like i.e. Dabo Kato is the top dog here sort of thing. He's like the final boss kind of level that you've got to be.
Exactly.
Or like I like that idea you just said about the prize money. That would really give it some type of underground feel, like someone wins a match and then they just get handed, a brown envelope full of cash or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that it should be in the direction it should go. Like,
because then as well, you could then bring in Kevin Owens, who is,
the prize fighter.
The prize fighter. You know what? Let me go and write for WWE. I'll be back later, yeah?
Mate, there's so many people.
Easy.
Like,
it's easy.
I mean, there's a lot of people on SmackDown. I was thinking of Sonya Deville and Aleister Black. All these kind of people that have MMA backgrounds. This is where they're not doing something with currently as well. Push them towards this. If you make this its own thing, like just get them involved.
Of course. And with everything else that's been going on in WWE, I feel something that I completely missed last week. I feel as if Raw feels like almost too much is going on, or they're trying too much at the moment. It feels like a whole Netflix box set in 3 hours. You know what I mean? You've got Underground going on. You've got Retribution, not so much on Raw, but you've got the Retribution thing going on, and you've got Montez Ford being poisoned.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going with that, but
and it's not so bad, but I think because it happened with so many things last week, it just kind of feels like, as I said, just trying too hard. It's nice to see Bianca Belair back, of course. It's great to see her back, and she's just going wild. Like you hurt my man. Like, come on.
Her and the woman, in fact, Zelina Vega and Bianca Belair, and then the Bayley Asuka match were the best matches yesterday.
Oh mate, Bayley Asuka match was great.
Crazy.
Great.
I'm so happy. I mean, we're gonna get onto the AEW women's division and everything going on over there in a second, but the WWE women, if for nothing, get it so right, and I think it's a shame that usually when the NXT males come up into the main roster, I guess there's less positions to fight for, and a lot of them kind of fall to the wayside. Whereas when the women come up, it's all to fight for, sort of thing. We're still pretty much, or I would say we've probably got rid of the Divas era, and everyone on the main roster now has some real talent to them, and really fighting for places. So the women's matches yesterday were brilliant.
I think on Raw in general, Raw just feels a lot, as much as I said there's a lot going on, Raw just has felt much better in the last few weeks. They're trying, you know what I mean? The women, again, doing great. Not everyone's perfect. Not everyone's doing perfect things. Nia Jax is a little bit, let's not get onto that. But in general, I think it's great. As we said, Bayley and Sasha Banks are absolutely killing it. Asuka's doing great things as well, involved in that whole story as well. Their match between Bayley and Asuka was great. The Riot Squad reunion, that seems to be going all right for me.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, I thought they were going to move away from that and give Liv Morgan her own little spotlight. Hasn't quite happened, but it's something to get Ruby Riott back into the fray of things, which I think the massive talent again, which they weren't using. So
yeah, and I think it's better that they're doing this with Liv Morgan because they didn't capitalize on the solo thing.
Yeah.
So it's just better that there's
still
there's
keeping
something
her
to
active.
do. Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, and then SmackDown in comparison to Raw is
it's a bit weak.
It's very weak. SmackDown's very weak at the moment, to be honest, but it is what it is. I mean, even as we said, the women's division as well, it's missing something, and it might be personnel, it might be because certain people aren't available and all that kind of thing, but it's definitely lost its way, in the women's division at least. And that leads me nicely on to the AEW women's division.
Where is it?
So, where is it?
Where
On
is
Zoom.
it?
On Zoom, that's where it is. It's on Zoom. For £49, $49. Sorry, I'm talking like it's our money. $49 a year. I mean, okay, let's get into this whole AEW Heels. And
I need you to explain this to me, because I've trying to make sense of it, what the whole initiative is, but please break it down to me.
So I saw, the initial things that Brandy Rhodes put up, and the whole sense of community with women wrestling fans and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, cool, that makes sense. Didn't really get into finding out what it was until just a few days ago, where Brandy Rhodes unfortunately, deleted her Twitter account. So I'm like, okay, right, I've got to find out what this is all about. So of course it's around this whole AEW Heels and the women's division. So AEW Heels, for those that don't know, is supposed to be a community for female wrestling fans to kind of connect, join together, feel a sense of confidence within, the community of being a female that loves wrestling. There's not many of them, in comparison to men. In a way, I kind of, I get it completely. I absolutely understand it, in the sense where even with Black Wrestling Alliance, the whole purpose of it is for us as Black wrestling fans, because there's not many of us, to feel a confidence in what we're doing and feel that confidence with each other. So I get it completely. The $49 a year, I personally don't see a problem with it at all. Not in the slightest.
Right. Let me stop you there, please.
Go on.
And just ask a question, because they joined this community, as you said it, and they're paying $49 a month, a year. But what is the $49 for?
So the $49 allows them to be part of virtual meet and greets. So that would be via Zoom, certain events that happen. Obviously, that would be virtual right at the moment as well. Certain giveaways and stuff like that will probably happen over time, and and things like that. But so just like anything, for example, I know there's a thing called WrestleCrate.
Yeah.
Fans, pay whatever monthly subscription, and they get sent a box with pictures and
goodies,
little memorabilia, t-shirts, blah blah blah. I think that's about $8 a month, if not more. So it's really not that serious. But the problem comes because most people are saying the problem is not necessarily the actual price, but it's more so, okay, you're creating this community, but yet your division on TV of these same women that women are supposed to look up to is not being looked at. It's not being cared for. It's not, what I mean. There's no attention to it, really. Yeah, we've seen certain things happen, and one-offs, I guess. What I mean, with the title, and the story with Swole and Britt Baker has a lot of substance, and I think that's a great storyline at the moment, still going on. But then there's nothing else. We've still got the tag team thing as well. But I saw someone who mentioned, the tag team thing's nice, but it's on YouTube. Why isn't it on the main show on Dynamite?
Exactly.
Where it could be, where it really easily could be. Even if it was on Dark, I think, I don't know, maybe that would have helped as well. I don't know. But on the main show, it would have made a lot of sense. So that's everyone's issue right now. I don't think it's necessarily... Some people have made a fuss about Heels itself, but I don't think it's... I think it's more to do with the fact that Heels is here, and you're trying to promote that when the wrestling itself is kind of, fallen by the wayside, so to speak. You know what I mean? So...
I mean, AEW have been going for coming up to a year now, if I'm correct. Their TV shows, anyway. Their regular TV. Riho was their first women's champion. Obviously, there's nothing to talk about these women's actual skill in the ring, because they're all very skilled. But I didn't quite understand why you put the title on someone that was going to be traveling between Stardom and back
Very
and
true.
forth, basically.
Very true.
This is obviously a new title in a new promotion that we need to, promote. So why wouldn't you put it on someone that was going to be there constantly? Anyway, eventually she dropped it to Nyla Rose, which I thought, right, we're going to see this a lot more. Nyla Rose had it for, what, a month?
2 at the
months?
most,
It was so short. I couldn't believe when she lost it. I actually had to do a double take when Sheeda pinned her. Like, I remember, I was thinking, what? But no worries, because I like Sheeda as well. I thought, another great talent. Cool. Sheeda is there, week in,
She's
week
amazing.
out, standing behind the barrier, bro. As a fan,
That's true.
holding
That's
the
true.
belt, doing what? Like,
That's true.
not doing anything at all. Right.
And
Go on.
I think the problem with Sheeda and the championship at the moment is that there's no real storyline. Yeah, okay, she had a little thing with Penelope Ford, amazing talent. I think Penelope Ford's going to be a big star. She should be
100,
even by now. But again, word of the day, substance.
That's it.
There's simply no substance right now.
With Penelope Ford, it was a one and done for the pay-per-view, for Double or Nothing, and then that was it. Sheeda has probably feuded longer with Nyla Rose when she wasn't the champion. Finally beat her for it, and they haven't come round to each other again since. Britt Baker has completely been dominating in terms of TV time, and deservedly so. I think she's been very good. Even when she's had her matches, she's been very, very good, to the point where she's injured now, and they're still constantly featuring her. Big Swole has come along and got more involved since Britt Baker has been injured, and she's really putting her best foot forward. I was a bit worried last week that, you know, we're probably going to get Britt Baker and Big Swole at All Out, and I'm thinking, is Britt Baker going to come back from injury and beat Big Swole? Like, that's going to be a bit rough. That's going to be a bit hard to take.
It is.
We'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, all we're asking for as fans is the matches on the card and these women to be utilised. The tag team tournament, the women's tag team tournament, is very frustrating for me, because right now, where they don't have a division, like we said, you could easily put any one of these matches back on, especially with some of the talent that they are showing in these. You know, we had Ariane Andrews come back, and her match was on YouTube. This past Monday, Dasha Fuentes, the old commentator, is in the tag tournament, and that's also going to be on YouTube. These are things to get people interested and get people talking. And not to say it's not getting people talking, but maybe not in the right space, because it's being shown on YouTube and not the TV show.
And that's the thing. It's not being shown on TV. YouTube isn't a bad place for it to be. I don't think it is.
It's not.
But I think it's because of, you know, the fans being let down, I guess, by the women's division and how that's gone or not gone. It should have been given more attention. It should have been given more of a showcase. And I thought that's what the whole point of it was. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing here. And yeah, so it's just annoying. It allows people to come in, as you said. You know, Dasha Fuentes is doing her thing. Ariana Andrews came back. We had Tay Conti as well, who came through.
As well, yeah.
Mate, great talent.
Rachel Ellering was on the show yesterday as well.
Okay. Well, you know what I mean. So you're introducing people as well. So, you know, let have some intent.
Yeah.
With it, you know what I mean. You've got people over here kind of moaning and saying whatever else about the women's division not doing this and whatever. So use it as your way to make a statement with it. And maybe they think they are, because it's got its own show, and I get that. Similar to, I guess, how the Mae Young Classic had its own.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's argument in that. There's argument in that for sure. But it still feels a little lackluster. I don't know if they've done this, but do they show clips of the women's tournament on Dynamite? Well,
it wasn't spoke of at all last Wednesday, and that, for me, that was the final straw. That's when I was like, "What?"
That tells you everything.
I don't think last week on Dynamite there was a women's segment until just
Swole.
before the main event when Big Swole and Britt Baker
Swole.
had their thing when
Yeah.
Big Swole took on Reba. And then we had the main event.
Oh. Mate, that's another thing. When Big Swole took on Reba, nice little. It was good. It was good. But I find it a little weird that Reba is looked at as someone who can't wrestle when she's a former Impact Knockouts champion.
So I think because they were
And
doing
done so much.
Yeah, I think because she's been doing the makeup and stuff backstage and had this angle with Britt Baker, they were playing off the fact that not that she can't wrestle, she just hasn't done it for
a long time.
Yeah, which I think was all right. It was amusing, but definitely because the YouTube show of the women's tournament is literally about 30 minutes, like it's like 2 10-minute matches. Why can't you find space for that on your main show? Like 2 10-minute matches, there has to be room for that. Come on, like. Even if you cut through a commercial break through the middle, like there has to be like
for sure. Yeah, I think they've messed up in terms of, and again, as I said, it's not so silly to have its own show.
Yeah,
as I said, the Mae Young Classic did that, and and that worked. That worked brilliantly. But I think the difference is as well that the Mae Young Classic just seemed legit. It was just so. There's a difference with the Mae Young Classic was just straight about the wrestling. It was just straight about the wrestling. The women's thing, they've got their little skits in between.
I think as
I
well
don't know
because
if that works or not.
I think the precedents had been set with the Mae Young Classic with the Cruiserweight Classic before,
Right.
It was just straight bangers of matches, and we got that as well when it came to the Mae Young Classic. Obviously, with the women's tag team tournament on AEW, I guess a lot of these wrestlers they're reintroducing for the first time or making debuts on their show, or some of them like Dasha have never wrestled before and are coming through. So it's not gonna have that level of seriousness. But just for the sake that you're currently struggling with your women's division, you could take this seriously. You could take this seriously. And I think I read that Kenny Omega is the one that kind of heads up the women's division, and
Correct.
Personally, I think he's trying to re-find himself, let alone carry a whole division sort of thing.
And this is my thing. I feel as if, Kenny Omega just in general, I don't know the guy. I don't necessarily know his history. I'm not a massive Kenny Omega fan in that respect. But it definitely feels as if he's got too much going on. You know what I mean? He's trying to be a tag team champion. I don't think they should even have them championships. That's another conversation altogether. Then he's doing the thing with the women's thing, and kind of struggling. And you can argue that at the end of the day, if they want to be inclusive, AEW talked about being this whole inclusive show, this whole inclusive brand, and blah blah blah. Why is a man running a women's division when there are more than enough women that you're both connected to, that you can find that could be doing it? No reason why they can't. You know what I mean? There's more than enough women out there that could be in that position. Reba, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know whether she wants to or not, but she's of enough stature, enough ability, enough experience, to do something like that. There's more than enough out there that could be in that position. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? So, a guy doing it, and I think it shows as well that Rio won the title, the first to win the title. Come on. Kenny Omega's coming from the whole Japanese scene. That tells me everything. That tells me everything. And I don't mind favoritism. It's gonna happen. It's kind of almost natural for anyone to do that. Because if I was running the promotion, Lord knows I'm putting a black champion in there. Straight away. It's not even a joke. So I get that favoritism type of thing, or you're pushing your own preference. I get it. But at the same time, it still has to be done a certain way that appeases the fans, appeases enough people, you know what I mean, in general. So, yeah, I think their biggest issue is having Kenny Omega there. It shouldn't be him. It shouldn't be a guy. It's as simple as that. I just think it's that simple. It would solve a lot of issues. So, maybe that's the answer.
Yeah,
that's the answer. I
maybe
don't know.
not someone as active as Kenny anyway, because he's pretty much on
Right.
the show every week. If this was like
Right.
a guy, but he was like a part timer sort of, maybe he'd have more time.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, same way they did with Chris Jericho, slapped the title on him as the first champion, because that's someone everyone recognizes and someone we could all get on board with immediately. They put it on Riho instead of maybe someone a bit more there and present, should I say.
Right.
And I never knew who Riho was before AEW, so I had nothing to say. I thought, okay, they've put it on someone, she's really good in the ring, and she's going to be there every week. Until she wasn't.
And then until she wasn't, exactly.
So that's when I think everything just went a bit off the rails.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. It wasn't necessarily the fact that she was relatively unknown to most of us. I think it was more so the fact that she wasn't there in order for us to get to know who she was.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because even with Hikaru Shida, like, most people don't know who she is. Yeah, she showed up a few times and we got to see, what she was about before she won the championship, and I think that's what made a difference. But then as well, she's been there every more or less every week and having her little matches. Yeah, there've been non-title matches and whatnot. And she had the little thing with Penelope Ford, but she's been there. You know what I mean? Which has been good. I think there's I think they're trying. I think they're trying, and I can see that they're trying to do something and whatnot. And we do have to give them a little bit of time in order to get it right. But it does feel as if they're still making small decisions that are having, that just don't need to be done.
Don't need to be done.
You know what I mean? I think it's that.
Yeah, and like I said at the top of the argument, it's yes, they are only coming up to their 1 year birthday. That's not even 1 years old yet. But
right.
Yeah, I guess that is a point to keep in the front of our minds, that they are still, I guess, experimenting and learning, which is fair. Obviously, I guess we're comparing them immediately to the WWEs and their impacts that have been around for much longer. But yeah, I just think that they could have done better with the choice of champions, with, well, like I say, with Riho, and then with Shida, who has actually been there the entire time. They haven't given her nothing to do and haven't, they are very much waiting for Britt Baker to carry this championship and develop this entire division on her own.
That's true.
I can see it. I don't doubt that Britt can probably do it. But they still have to feed Britt the competitors, and Britt has to maybe use her talents of the talking and stuff like that to elevate some of these other wrestlers. So even when they give it to Britt, there's still a lot of work to be done for the remains of the division. But I guess we wait to see. I want to see if the tag tournament, the winner actually throws up anything in terms of, do they actually become a tag team, or did he become number one contenders? How that's going to work out? I don't think anything around that's been said.
And what the end goal is.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, even with, the whole thing with Brandy, Brandy's kind of at the forefront of the tag team thing as well, which has got a lot of people upset. I don't mind it. I don't see, if they have her win it, there's going to be a riot. I'm telling you from now, there's going to be a riot.
100%.
I don't mind. I'm loving the heel heat because she's kind of transitioning into a heel. And her team goes to the final. Let them go to the final, that's for sure. You know what I mean? And then whoever they go up against, they're going to have to win.
Should probably win, yeah.
They need to win because, forget Retribution shutting down places. The fans will come in and shut down AEW.
100%. Yeah.
Believe me. But, as I said, as you said, they're still relatively new. We have to remember that. They're still relatively new in the game. This whole wrestling booking and whatever else isn't easy. They gave it the big talk because they saw the problems that, WWE were having and, the things that they were doing wrong and blah, 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 and said they were basically going to do the opposite. But a lot of things are very different when you actually do it.
Yeah.
And you realise how difficult it actually can be. And I think that's what's happening with AEW on a whole, not just the women's division. So we have to allow them to still work through a lot of things.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah. So, time is going. So, let us hit on to our superstars of the week. I'm going to start with yourself. Let me know who your superstar of the week is and why.
So this week, it's a bit of a different kind of choice, but I'm going to go with Shelton Benjamin. Now, what
Okay.
I've liked about Shelton Benjamin is just how he's obviously taken what they've given him in recent weeks. It all started when I think Apollo was trying to be recruited by MVP. Saying no, Shelton Benjamin came to kind of help out MVP, sort of try to take out Apollo, but Apollo still won. He's just kind of got himself back into the fold and kind of reminded us all why we liked, that young guy that came up on SmackDown 20 odd years ago now, sort of thing. Terrific talent. Probably never got what he deserved in the WWE, but it's kind of so good to see him in this position, especially at a time where the rosters are stretched, people can't necessarily travel, and it's the good old reliables that WWE have kind of called on, and are doing a really good job. Previously 24/7 champion, lost that last week without being pinned in a triple threat match. Continued on to Raw Underground last week in the same episode. Caused havoc with the Hurt Business. Again, this past week looked really strong. Actually got a win over Apollo Crews, which really should make him the one taking on Apollo Crews
I was
at
thinking the same
SummerSlam. MVP has somehow weaseled his way in there, but whatever. But yeah, it's good to see Shelton Benjamin being used in such a position, and I hope that the Hurt Business continue being dominant and we continue to see Shelton Benjamin.
For me, I feel as if MVP is doing the Lord's work right now.
Literally,
because mate, he's doing exactly what he went back to WWE to do. You know what I mean? From previous conversation I've had with him way back, and stuff that I've seen online and whatever else, he kind of, would hint at going back to WWE if the possibility or the opportunity arised or whatever else. But I also know that in doing that, he wasn't going to do that without trying to change something.
Yeah.
Or having his say or whatever else. That's just the kind of guy that he is. So now that we've seen the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley's come through and he had a World Championship opportunity, which was a great feud. Something that I probably think should still go on or
shouldn't be finished. 100%.
Can come back. No reason why it can't. And then with Shelton now, a lot more TV time and all that kind of stuff. And we're seeing, as you said, the Shelton of old almost. The very aggressive, very fighter driven. Not so much the spectacular type of stuff, but just the really raw kind of
aggressive stuff.
type of aggressive stuff. And it's nice to see, man. It's great to see. And yeah, he won that match. Unfortunately, I guess the only reason why it's not him at SummerSlam is because, the Apollo MVP match was already set.
Yeah, that's true.
But at the same time, it would have been nice to see, it be Shelton.
I thought it would be even. I thought come SummerSlam we were actually going to get Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews. I thought that's where the story was going.
Yeah.
Again, Mr. MVP.
Yeah, of course. And you know what? But he's more than still good enough to make it work and make it happen. So, it's not been an issue. But yeah, man, to see Shelton back, to see him doing what he's doing, is great. That's a good pick. I wasn't too sure where you were gonna go with it because I'm like. Yeah, it's nice to see him, but why has he done it? But you know what? It's a good pick. It's a very good pick. Mine, I'm going back to AEW again. I don't know why. I just am. But mine is Scorpio Sky. Yeah. I always seem to pick these guys that I just want to talk about all the time anyway. It just makes it easier. But at the same time, no, Scorpio Sky's week and month has been great. It has been great. He's now finally on the solo run, doing his own thing. Still connected to SCU very much so. He was still involved in a 6-man tag with his friends a couple of weeks ago, but now very much focused on his solo career and all of that. And he's been absolutely killing it on Dark. I think he is 7, if not 6-1.
Yeah.
In the last month, and that one was in that 6-man tag, not even on Dark.
Singles action,
Yeah. So he's unbeaten in singles since since that run started, and he made it very clear that people need to know who the hell he is. You know what I mean? I think I'm just at the moment. I'm in this world of a cloud nine right now with wrestling, because I'm seeing Scorpio Sky doing his thing. I'm seeing Ricky Starks coming through. I'm seeing Chris Bay as X Division champion, and even Big E now is on this solo run as well. I'm like, hold on. I'm
What's
getting what I
going
asked for. I'm getting what I asked for. What the hell is this wrestling? Really? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But with Scorpio Sky, like he made it known. He sat down in the middle of that ring and said, "Boom! I'm one of the only two people to have pinned Chris Jericho. The other one is the current world champion."
Yeah.
That comparison in itself is like, okay, come on, he needs to be noticed. You know what I mean? And then, of course, the following night on Dynamite, after Cody and Matt Cardona won their tag team match, Cody comes walking out, and he's met there by Scorpio Sky, just there, like, yo, mate, you're not going past me until I tell you I'm coming for that title. Man just went.
I just love the way he just tapped that.
I was
That
like,
was
yeah,
rude, boy.
Say nothing, just
Literally, you see that thing there?
done. yeah. Trust me. So so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with this. My whole thing would be, my ideal would be for him to not even win. So, but the match ends in a no contest for whatever reason. I don't really care why. Whether it be Dark Order come out and beat up Cody, or something else happens. There's a no contest, and it carries on, and to All Out. And that's where the real match happens at All Out. I know there's talk of the TNT Championship, the new one. Is it going to be shown on Wednesday?
So apparently they said that it will be done on the 12th of August, which is Wednesday. Yeah.
Which is on Wednesday. So
I don't know if we're seeing it on Wednesday or they'll debut it at All Out, but it's finished. It will be finished.
Right. So for me, it kind of just it would just make sense, and not just because I'm a fan of Scorpio Sky, but it would just make sense for Scorpio to beat Cody and be the first person to hold this new, the new look, or
Definitely.
the finished TNT Championship. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see what happens. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens on Wednesday. I might even actually watch a wrestling show live. Not done that in a very, very long time. These crazy early hours in the morning that we have to watch them at.
Yeah,
is not great for us. But yeah, I'm super
definitely
excited to see what happens.
I definitely think Cody's gonna cheat to win. I like you. We're not gonna get a clean finish like you're saying, but I don't think it will be from outside interference. I think Cody is going to enhance this. He's been very cocky and arrogant recently. Apart from the tag match with Matt Cardona last week, his singles matches in the TNT Championship has been very cocky and arrogant week by week. And even Arn Anderson is looking at him like, bro, like, this isn't what we planned when we came out here. You're here doing press-ups and stuff like that. I think he's going to either, hold the bottom rope when he pins Scorpio Sky, pull the tights, do something when the ref's not looking.
Low blow, get
a rematch, maybe at All Out. And you said, that Scorpio Sky probably picks up at All Out.
I mean, even with Cody and Arn, I don't know. I mean, we might be. There's a possibility. There's a small possibility. I don't know if I've seen enough to say this, but I think there's a small possibility of Cody, Sean Spears, and FTR.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Becoming a bit of a thing. Obviously, then backed up by Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. New Four Horsemen, maybe?
Yeah. That's what's being said.
You know what I mean? And I think that would be amazing, to be honest.
Yeah. I think with Sean Spears, they definitely need to give him something to do, because they brought him in to a relatively quite big hype sort of thing. And, he got this nickname, the Chairman, after that dirty headshot that he gave to Cody. Yeah. I'll never forget that.
Of course.
And then since then, it's really fizzled out. He's gone into a bit of comedy as like MJF sidekick. Yeah, he definitely needs some direction before he gets lost.
Yeah. And I think even him with Tully the last few weeks when he appeared on Dark with the glove and all.
Yeah,
it's kind of giving him a substance.
giving him
and,
something.
You know,
yeah,
and his aggression's kind of that kind of badass level to him is kind of coming back as well. So to then couple him with FTR, who are doing the whole keep your enemies close thing. Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. And then the pinnacle of that would be then for Cody to turn on his boys with FTR and with Sean Spears.
Yeah,
just that writes itself. That writes itself.
Hopefully they can do it. They can do it well. But
yeah.
Cody leading that kind of group as well. I think it's what he's always probably dreamed of. So
yeah.
Give it to him. He looks the part, definitely. So
for sure. Yeah, it's the perfect type of faction in terms of you've got the executive guy as Cody, you've got the badass who would be Sean Spears, the very aggressive kind of not quite
like
there in the
like
head.
the muscle sort of thing.
Yeah. And then you've got this great tag team.
The tag team.
You know what I mean? Who's again the muscle, I guess, really, but kind of do the odd jobs and beat up this person here and beat up that person and still hold their own in the tag team division. So
the only question I ask
makes sense. Go on.
Is obviously when we have a faction like that, perfect 4-man faction, I love the scene when they win all the belts.
Of course.
However, Cody isn't currently allowed to go after the AEW World Championship. So how do we get around this?
I see it like this. Here's one way you can do it. You have Sean Spears win it, and then Cody's jealous of him. Eventually, that's the way that the faction breaks up. It probably won't happen for now. I hope it's not something that can happen straight away. But I think that would be the only way you get around that type of thing. But I'm sure there's a bit of a loophole in it. Is there not?
I don't
or
know.
They'll find some loophole in it.
He took on Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho, I remember Chris Jericho said, if you lose, you can never challenge for the World Championship ever again. Hence why he was so driven to go for the TNT Championship.
Right.
But I don't know if they will just, actually keep that as an ongoing storyline or make us forget about it like WWE would do. We'll see, I guess.
Retirement match and then someone comes back 2 months later. Yeah. It happens. But yeah, man. So our time is gone. We've got a couple of minutes, man, but we got through it all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was great. So everybody, don't forget to check us out on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel. This is where you'll see us at the moment, and obviously we'll be back. Hopefully, we're going to make this this show live as well, so we'll let you know of that. And of course, you can pick up shorts of this whole thing on the Black Wrestling Alliance page. Don't forget to follow Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well, but Twitter's a dark place. I don't go on there often. So follow me there, and you can follow Mex. Mex, where can we follow you?
Yeah, on Instagram as well, WrestleManiac UK. In fact, everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. It's all WrestleManiac UK. Same with you.
Yeah. Of course. He likes the Twitter place as well. You know what I mean? I'm still getting used to it. I'm a nice guy. But yeah, man, it's been great. We'll do this again next week, and everyone, make sure you check out our social media channels and check us again on YouTube. Share it with everyone. See you later, folks.